Good day to you, my grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's mathematical literacy lesson. My name is Bernard Donko. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. So, this lesson is going to take a full review of paper 1 so that we can be able to get you ready for the exam. Right. So, at the end of the lesson, what I'm hoping for from your side is that you are able to answer questions that are related to finance, data handling, as well as probability. But for that to happen, it means your knowledge about mathematical calculations, being able to round, being able to subtract, add, divide, multiply, your ability to use calculator is going to be very vital. So let's test that. Let's get things going so that we prepare you thoroughly for the paper 1. All right. So I've given you some few words with their explanations. I want you to help me so that we can put together quickly. We have column A. It has got the words or terminologies in Matlet. Some, not all. And then their explanations. But the explanations have been juggled around. So let's start with the first one. Whenever you see break-even point, what do you think we are speaking about? Let's go through it. You will see here a point where the total cost of a business is equal to the total sales. So we are referring to E, meaning that our answer here is E. Let's look at mean. Whenever you hear the word mean, we are talking of the average, meaning to add all the values and divide by how many values are there. That is what you call the mean. So our answer is D. Let's look at range. I think range, by this time you are comfortable with it. Range is the highest value minus the lowest value. That is the difference. Okay. So our answer for range is F. How about the next one? Tariff. Tariff is the cost per unit for a service received. So let's see if there's anything like that here. There, look at this one. It says the rate charged for a service rendered. That is our answer for tariff. That is B. All right. Then let's look at debit. Debit means money is going out of the account. So which of the explanations here? Good, you spotted it already. A, because money deducted or money flowing out of an account. So our answer for debit is A. Then the last one is what? Salary. When we speak of salary, what are we talking about? We are talking of amount of money that is paid for the work you do, and it is usually paid on a monthly basis. So our answer is C. I hope you managed to get them correct like I did here. So our answers are E, D, F, B, A, and C. Okay. By now, you have an idea, but if you don't worry, we are working together. Paper 1 is going to have 150 marks. And the marks are going to come from finance, data handling, and probability. So finance is going to contribute about 90 marks. Because finance is broad, there are a lot of subtopics. Then data handling is going to count for about 53 marks, and probability will count for about 7 marks. All of these, you are expected to write it in a period of what? 3 hours. Meaning, I need you to get yourself ready so that you can be able to score as many marks as possible. So let's start. Under the finance, let's look at some of the subtopics. We have our financial documents that deals with tax documents, loans, bank statements, a whole lot of them. Then we have taxation, like the personal income tax. But on that one also, it comes with taxable and non-taxable deductions, rebates, tax threshold, UIF, VAT. All of them, the examiner will likely ask you questions about them. Then we have tariffs, which we have the electricity, transport, telephones, municipal tariffs, tables, graphs. Like the examiner is going to be asking you questions on a variety of situations with the hope that you will be able to respond to them so that you get marks. Don't forget, they are going to be asking questions about income and expenditure, profit and loss for a company, for a business. There will be questions about cost price, selling price, and so on. So these are the areas for finance. How about data handling? They will be asking you questions about how to develop questions in terms of national and global issues. Be able to find ways of collecting data such as interviews, questionnaires, Google Maps. We are going to talk of recording sheets, just a lot. Then we come to, after you've collected data, they will be asking you questions on how to classify and organize data using numerical and categorical data, as well as class intervals and frequency tables. Then from there, now you summarize your data using quartiles, interquartile range. You have to be able to calculate and analyze the measures of central tendency. We are talking of mean, median, mode, as well as measures of spread. You're talking of range, quartiles, interquartile range, and percentiles. Then from there, how do you interpret and analyze? Then you can interpret and analyze using bar graphs, histograms, pie charts, scatter plots, box and whisker plots. A lot of questions will be asked. So our job today is to ensure that you do remember as many as you can while you are preparing. All right. You should be able to know how the total values of items are calculated. You should be able to calculate VAT, VAT inclusive, VAT exclusive values. So for that, let's get to some few possible exam questions. It says, question 1. The table alongside shows a statement of financial performance for Umla as a local municipality for the month that ended on the 31st of March 2024. So question 1, identify the major source of revenue for the municipality. So when you find questions like this, the first thing is to find that we are talking of source of revenue. So our keyword is what? Revenue. Then you go under revenue. These are the sources of revenue. So now the examiner says the major. Which source of revenue gives us the biggest money? So you go through it and you find that this is the biggest money. So instead of writing the 254,053, you go and write the name. Which name is that? You write government, grants, and subsidies. You write it down. Government, grants, and subsidies. You are done for that question. So how did you get the question? You are highlighting the major points which the examiner asked of you. Let's look at the second one. It says, write down the revenue amount from licenses and permits in words. So let's go to revenue and licenses, or licenses and permits. Here, they want us to write this amount in words, but look at a clue. If you look up there, they're saying R000, meaning whatever value that you see there, it ends with 3 zeros also. So here, can you see it's 1,719. Good. Then if you add the 3 zeros, like it's going to be 1,719,000. So it means it's what? 1,719,000, but they want it in words. So you write it as 1,719,000. Are we together with that? So when they say they want it in words, meaning they want you to use digits, they want you to use numbers, not letters. So you wrote 1,719,000, but the clue is that it is 1719. Do not forget to read the heading, because sometimes the examiner will say the amounts are in millions, or they are in hundreds, or they are in thousands. So in this case, they are in thousands. That's why there are 3 zeros attached to it. So this is how you will respond to that question. Let's look at the next one then. Determine in simplest form the ratio of depreciation. So the first value they want is depreciation. The next value will be transfers and grants. So let's go and look for depreciation. This is our depreciation, so it's going to be 37395. Then you put your 2 dots. Okay, 37395, you put your 2 dots. What's the next one? Transfers and grants, this one. So it's going to be 5175. Then now we look for a number that can go through both of our values. So here we can divide both sides by 45. Let's see if we can get that correct. We have 37395 divided by 45 will give us 831 is 2. Then the next one will be 5175 divided by 45. That will give me 115. Okay, but let's say you didn't know you were supposed to divide by 45. It's fine. What you can do, can you see here is 37,395 and there is 5,175. So you can actually divide both sides by the smaller value. So you could actually say 37395 divided by 5175. Then you come and write here is 2. Then you have your 5175. You divide it by 5175. This will give you this side 1. And then you press whatever value you get here, you write. Instead of leaving that space blank and not say I'm not going to write anything. Once you are able to write the values in the correct order, it is a mark already. Sometimes even 2 marks. So always try to give yourself room to score as many marks as you can. Let's look at number 1.4. The examiner is asking us to calculate the value of A. So how do we calculate the value of A, which is the remuneration of counselors? Do you see A is here? So there's a total here. 302,604. 302,604. Just put a minus sign, then you open a bracket, then you come and add all the other values. Are we together? So I have already done the calculation. You find that it's supposed to be 283,522, meaning 302,604 minus 283,522. What am I saying? Add all the sub values so that you subtract, meaning if you subtract the 111 from here, whatever value you get on your calculator is the value for the answer. So you are always going to do well. Just try to watch the video, stop it and try to do it so that you get yourself ready for that. Then let's look at the next question. Give one example of employee related cost, like this one. They paid this amount, but what's an example of employee related cost? What monies do companies usually pay to employees, that or which monies do they spend on employees? Something like salaries, wages, health insurance, all those, as long as they are spending it on the employee, is called what? Employee related cost. Do not forget that. All right, so in order not to forget everything, I have shown you the solutions here also. You can pause and then you check on it as you go on. We are done on financial documents because we are revising. How about income, expenditure, profit loss, income and expenditure statements? What the examiner will be asking you, focus around these ones. They want you to classify items on an income and expenditure statement, whether it's a debit or a credit, or is it occasional, is it fixed, is it variable, and show how the values were calculated. So the first thing that I want you to understand, whenever you see expenditure or expenses, take note that it is what money being spent or money going out of the business or the account. It's an expenditure, money that is going out of the business, money that is going out of the account. Then, for that, you should know that there are 3 types or 3 kinds of expenditure. We have the fixed expenditure, the ones that you must always spend no matter what happens. Variable expenditure, the ones that change depending on the situation or quantity of items that you are producing. Then we have what you call unforeseen. Sometimes we even call it occasional expenditure, the ones that come once a while. All right. Then we have budget and income and expenditure statement. When you talk of budget and income and expenditure statement, you should know that both of them, they are expenses. Just that the budget is a list of expected income and expenditure to say, I'm going to be getting this money and this is how I am going to be spending it. That is what you call a budget. It is giving you a direction, an idea of how you want to spend that money. Income and expenditure statement is actually how you are spending that money. That is what you call income and expenditure statement. So look at what I've given to you here. On the left, we have our budget. We are saying we are going to spend this much, this much, this much, but the money is going to come from salaries and commission. We've already budgeted. We have everything. Then it comes to the way we actually spend it. So here is our income and expenditure statement. If you look closely, some of the values have got errors about them. Let's look at the first one. We said our budget for a commission was 10,000, but in reality, we got only 8,500. Do you see there's a difference there? We thought we were going to get 10,000, but in reality, we got only 8,500. Another one. We said we were going to spend for food, we budget 1,500, but for some reason, we spend 1,620. So budget is a plan of how you want to spend the money that you have. Income and expenditure statement is the actual way of how you spend that money. So for that, let's get into some few examples. Here we have a budget for 2024. And now it is telling us where is the money coming from. So the first one says the image alongside show the budget of Malaysia and the revenue received in 2024. The currency for Malaysia is what? Malaysian ringgit. First one, the examiner says convert 393.8 billion to million. 393.8 billion to million, this one. So to convert it from billion to million, what you just need to do is to multiply that value by 1,000. So you take this 393.8, then you times it by 1,000. So it's going to be 393,800. Okay? No, one of the zeros goes away because after the decimal there is a number of 8. So we can only add 2 more zeros. So it's going to be what? 393,800. Then you put the word million. If you don't want to put the word, then you must write it this way: 393,800. Then you put million. How many zeros are millions? There are 6 of them. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's 3, 3, 3. So it's going to be 393 billion 800 million. 393 billion 800 million. This is how you write the value. So when the value is in billion and you are taking it to million, add 3 more zeros, and then if there is a value, let's say there were another digit like 84, let's say 393.84, 393.84. It means we could have added only 1 more zero. Okay, because you see here we said multiply by 1,000, but when you are writing it, it's going to be 393,840. Then we will add million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is how you write it in full in terms of writing from billion to million. Let's look at the next one then. The examiner says we should calculate the percentage difference. So we are now looking at what? Percentage difference between non-tax revenue, this one, and indirect tax. So since the examiner has given us 2 values, we then write them down and we subtract. Why are we subtracting? Because we want what? Difference. We are subtracting. So what is the first one? Non-tax revenue. Can you see it is here? 16.2%. Then you put the other one with the minus, which is what? Indirect. Here is our indirect. Do you see it? It is 14.9. So let's 14.9. Let's subtract 16.2 minus 14.9, and that will give us 1.3. 1.3. Then you put your percent. So these are very typical exam questions, and it's not requiring a lot from you. The examiner is always going to give you information that they want to ask you questions about it. So if you read carefully, you'll find that almost all your answers are already in the question. Yours is just to apply a few mathematical calculations and skills. Then you get full marks. All right, so let's look at the next one. It says, state Malaysia's expenditure for 2024 was 407.5 billion. State with reason whether the budget resulted in a surplus or a deficit. So when you have a surplus, it means your income is more than your expenditure. You have a surplus, you have something left. When you have a deficit, it means your income is less than your expenditure. What it means is that you are spending more than you are getting. So now let's check then. If we are saying that Malaysia's expenditure for 2024 is 407.5, but their budget is only 393.8. What does that mean? It means their expenditure is bigger than their income. Where are they getting their money from? That is their income. And now they are telling us this is where it is, but this is how much we are spending it. So they got 393.8, but they are spending 407.5, meaning that their expenditure is way bigger than their income. And once your expenditure is bigger than income, it means what? You are in a deficit. You are in what? A deficit. If the income, if this value was bigger than that value, then they were going to be in a surplus. So they have a deficit. Why? Because their expense exceeds their income. Are we together on that? Their expenditure is bigger than their income, so they are in a deficit. They are in a loss. Convert the income tax amount to South African rand. Income tax amount. Where is the income tax amount? Here it is. 174.7. So let's go and convert them. Can you see the amount is in what? Billions. So you write it like this. 174.7 billion. We are going to convert it because it's from RM. So we are going to use our conversion factor. We are going to divide by the same currency. So it's going to be 0.238519. Then we are going to times here by 1 rand. Then we're going to press. So let's take our calculator and press. So it's going to be 174.7 billion. Billion is with how many? 9 zeros. So since there's already 1 zero taken, we can only add 8 more zeros. So let's write it that way. You can have 1747. We are now going to add 8 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you divide everything by 0.238519. Now you come and write your answer. If you press all of them, you are going to get the following: 7, 3, 2, 4, 3, 6, 4, 0, 9, 6, 7, 8.08. Let me confirm. 732,436,409,678.08, meaning now this is in rand. How do you pronounce if you wish to? It's going to be 732 billion 436 million 409,678.08. That is how you pronounce it. All right, so now let's give you the solutions to those questions once again. So all the questions that I've asked you already, I am providing you with the solution so that when you have time, you go over them. Let's talk of profit and loss. Profit means what? Your income is bigger than your expense. We get profit when we trade, when we sell something. So if the money you are getting is bigger than the money you spent in making the item, then it means you did get a profit. But there are some times where you spent, let's say 20 rand, but you only got 18 rand back. It means what? Your income is less than your expense. That way you become, or you get to have a loss. Now, there are situations where your income, let's say 20 rand, is equal to your expense, meaning you spent 20 rand, you sold the item, you only got 20 rand. It means your income is equal to the expenditure. And that is what you call the break-even point. When your income is equal to your expenditure, we call it break-even point. So that is why in the examination, the examiner sometimes asks you, explain the term break-even point. You will just say the income and expenditure of the business are the same. And then you are done. You get your full marks. So sometimes the business person wants to find out or comparing the profit and the cost price. How is it related? Am I getting more profit or less profit? Because the profit is profit, but the more the profit, the better. The less the profit, not so much. You have put a lot of effort, but you are not getting much back. So if you want to find percentage profit, then you use the formula profit divided by cost price times 100. How do you get profit? Selling price minus cost price. So in the exam, when you see percentage profit, just say new minus old divided by old, then you multiply everything by 100. That is it. It is the same formula that I'm talking about here. So once you see percentage change, percentage profit, percentage what, you must just know the formula is the same. New amount minus old amount divided by old amount times 100. If you want to find what you call a profit margin, how much is your profit in terms of your income, then the formula changes to become profit over income, meaning to be new minus old divided by new times 100. That becomes our profit margin. Are we together? So the only time you're going to write new minus old divided by old is if the examiner says determine the profit margin. But if the question says determine the percentage profit, percentage change, what, it's always going to be new minus old divided by old times 100. So now let's get to the other aspect of cost price, selling price. Once you are able to determine the cost price and selling price, it means that the examiner is leading you to find out what you know about break-even point. And I've already explained to you that break-even point is the point in the business where the income and expenditure are the same. So let's look at an example here. We have bought 4 boxes, all right? And we sold 4 boxes of pen. And we sold each pen at 5 rand each. So let's get the information that we have here. How many pens are in there? There are 60. And we paid how much? 249 rand. So the examiner is saying, calculate the cost of 1 black pen. So in this case, you are going to take that 249 rand, you divide it by how many pens are there? 60. Then you write your answer. So let's get it quickly. So it's going to be 249 divided by 60 pens. That means that each pen We bought it for 4 rand 15 cents. Remember, it's money, so it must be 2 decimal places. Don't forget. Okay, let's look at the next question. It says, determine the profit made on 1 black pen. Remember, we bought it for 4 rand 15, but we sold it for 5 rand. So we are going to say 5 rand minus 4 rand 15. Then we press it on the calculator. So we say 5 minus 4 rand 15 cent. It means we are going to make a profit of 0.85. Then you put your R there. That is what? 85 cents. Do you see how you are getting the calculations now? Now, look at the next question. Calculate the number of pens that were sold during the fundraising. So for us to answer that question, let's go back. The Matric Dance Fundraising Committee bought 4 boxes of pens and sold each at 5 rand. So basically they sold all of them. So now each box is having 60 pens inside. Are we together? How many boxes did they buy? 4 of them. So we are going to say 60 times 4 boxes. Then you press 60 times 4. That will give you your answer of 240 pence, because there are 60 pence in a box and we have got 4 of the boxes. So it is going to give us 240 pence that we sold. How about the next question? Now the examiner is saying we must determine the percentage profit from selling 1 black pen. Okay, so remember what I said to you, percentage profit. So it's going to be new minus old divided by old times 100. So the new is our selling price, how much we sell it for. So we are going to put here 5 rand minus old. Old is the cost price. Remember, we bought it at 4 rand and 15 cents. 4,15 divided by old, which is 4 rand and 15. We times it by 100. So what do? You are going to press them. You just take your calculator. You will say open bracket, put into bracket, so that your calculator knows the top must belong together. So it's going to be 5 minus 4,15. Then you close the bracket. Then you press the divide sign, which is going to be divided by 4,15. Then you times everything by 100. So when you times everything by 100, your answer is going to be 20.48. Then you put the percent sign. That is it for 3 marks, 4 marks, or 5 marks. I'm very confident that you are going to do well if you are following and watching these videos. You are definitely going to do fine. But remember, practice also will help. So let's go to the next one. It says determine the probability of randomly selecting a red pen. So they're asking you, what is the chance of selecting a red pen from one of the boxes? Which color did we buy? We bought black. Okay, but now they're asking, is there a possibility that we are going to get a red pen from the boxes? No, because we never bought a red pen. So probability is the chance of something happening. So what chance of us getting a red pen here? It's 0%, because we never bought a red pen. Are we together? It is not possible to get a red pen because we never bought one. All the pens that we bought were black. So you just say it is 0% or 0. We don't have any chance. Now, let's look at another question here. It says the offers for renting machines are given below. So on the left side, we have Umla's office equipment. On the right side, we have the Queen's shop. Then the examiner says, define the term variable cost. Like I already explained to you now, when we say variable cost, it is the cost that changes. It varies. It's the cost that changes depending on items or the production of the business. Here, look at something. We are talking of printing. Okay? So our variable cost will be the cost that changes depending on number of copies that we have printed. Because they'll be saying, define the term variable cost in this context. You will just be saying variable cost is the cost that changes depending on the number of copies printed. Okay? The cost that changes depending on the number of copies that we printed is what you call a variable. If it was a fixed cost, it is the cost that remains the same, like renting the photocopier or the machine. You see, we pay 450 Rand a month. If it's fixed cost, it means that whether we print or we don't print, it is still the same amount. Now, the examiner is asking us to do what? Write equations for printing color for both companies. Then they gave us 4 marks. So how do we get to write the equations then? Now, let's start. So, if we want to find the cost for color, then it's going to be our fixed cost. That is going to be 450 plus how much do they charge for color? Is going to be 0.70 times the number of copies. Are we together? We are looking for the formula. So it's going to be what? Fixed cost plus variable cost times n. But remember, in the exam, the examiner doesn't want this one. They want the actual values. So help me then. Let's write for the Queen's Shop. So the Queen's Shop, how much do we pay? The cost for Queen's Shop is going to be 350, the fixed cost, plus variable cost. What's our variable cost for color? 0.90 times n. This is the formula which the examiner is asking you to write. Remember, the examiner has the chance of asking you any questions as long as it is part of your syllabus. Now, let's look at break-even analysis. Sometimes the examiner has given the graph paper, it's already drawn, and they're asking you questions. So, this point where the two lines cross each other is what we call the break-even point. Meaning, all the values on your left of that graph, they are a loss. Meaning, our expenditure is still bigger than our income. But all the values after the break-even point, now we call it what? Profit. Because now your income is bigger than your expenditure. If they give you the graph and they did not tell you which graph is the income and which one is the expense, here is the clue. Always look for the graph that starts from the 0 corner. That line is the income. It is always the income. Why? Because we know for us to get income, we must have sold something. So if it is 0, it means we never got any money because we didn't sell anything. So that graph is the income graph, the one that starts from the corner. And then the one that starts with the value on the Y line. That is what you call the expenditure. So usually the expenditure does not start from 0 because, like in our case here, the example that we were doing, you can see that the business already have expenditure, you already have to spend 450. So when we draw the line, it's going to start from somewhere like 450 or the 350 from the Queen's Shop. You're getting the idea? All right. Now, what about interest, bank, loans, and investment? The examiner will be asking you questions about interest, whether it's simple interest or compound interest, and then they will be asking you to explain what is an interest. Then you have to know the difference between interest and interest rate. So let's start. When we have the interest, we are talking of the extra money we are paying or we are getting for somebody using our money, the extra money. That is the interest. interest rate is the percentage that we use to calculate how much is the extra money. So let's say the interest rate on 10,000 is 10%. Then the 10% is what we call the interest rate. So we use the 10% to help us know what is the interest. So we'll be saying 10,000 times 10 over 100, which is 1,000. So our interest on the 10,000 is 1,000. So interest is the actual amount. Interest rate is the percentage that we use to find the interest which we need to pay or receive. Now, they have given us a question here. It says Mrs. Teddy went to check the maturity value towards a retirement annuity. Retirement annuity is a retirement fund that you, the employee, you organize for yourself. You can get it from like Old Mutual, like from Momentum, from Sanlam. Once you make your own retirement fund arrangements where you pay something every month, we call it a retirement annuity. So she is about to turn 55 years in 4 months. So now she is asking to find out how much money she has on the side. The lady informed her that the maturity value for the money is 334,159 rand. And this money she will not get all. She will receive a third as cash lump sum. The remaining amount will be put back, and every month they are going to give her bit by bit until she turns like 80 years. So now the question is, let's finish this part. It says, this is because from 2017, the South African law stated that if a lump sum exceeded 247,500, a person will receive a third. So whatever you have put in that account, whatever you have saved, if it is more than 247,500, then you are only going to get a third. Mrs. Teddy's money is already 334,000, so it qualifies that she receives a third of that. Okay, and thereafter you receive equal installment. So here, Mrs. Teddy decided to invest that 1/3, which she will be getting from this money, so that she can be able to use it as an investment. And she invested it on a compound interest half yearly for 2 years, 9% per annum. How do we answer this question? Let's look at the first one. The examiner is saying you must calculate the amount Mrs. Teddy will receive when she turns 55 years old. So with such a question, it means what you have to do is to say 1/3, because they mentioned already. 1/3 of what? Of this lump sum. What is our lump sum? 334,000. So we are going to say 1/3 times 334,159. Then you press. So you take your calculator, you will say 1/3, then you push and say times 334,159. And how much is that money? 111,186,33, meaning cash. She will get 111,386 rand and 33 cents. That is what they are asking us to find for 3 months. This is it. Then you are done. So let's go on and find more. Mrs. Teddy says that the interest she will receive after 2 years is 24,500. Verify if her statement is correct. So let us check them. Remember, she invested how much? 111,386,33 for 2 years, but the interest is compounded half yearly. So this is how you answer such question. Let's write our money down. 111,386,33. The interest is what? 9%, but it is compounded half yearly. So this is what you must do then. You are going to write the 9%. You must divide it by 2, because she is getting it half yearly. So half of 9%. It means the interest that you then use to find your answer will be 4.5%. This is what you must use to do the calculation now. Then the next thing is to find out how many halves are there in a year. There are 2 of them. So since the payment or the investment is for 2 years, it means that we are going to have 4 calculations. First half year, second half year, then 1 year is done. Then third half year, fourth half year, then all is done. So this is how you go by it. Then what you do, you are going to take that 111,386,33. You times it by 4.5 over 100. Are you there with me? So then you press. So it's 111,386,33. We're going to times it by 4.5 over 100. It means the interest we are going to get is going to be, for the first half year, 5,012 rand 39 cents. Then you are going to add this money to the money which she invested, which is what? 111,386,33. So let's add that. So you just say plus 111,386,33 cents, and that will give us, now it's going to have 116,398 rand 71 cents. So you are doing this how many times? 4 times. So the next calculation, you start with this money and you do the same thing like we did here. So now you will take 116,398,71. You times it by 4.5 over 100. You will get an answer. You add that answer to this money which is already in the account. Then you go to the third half year and the fourth half year. So by the time you finish, you will get a total money. You just say the total money minus the 111,386,33. You are now checking to see if you are going to get 24,000 or not. That is it. You are done for 8 marks. So I know that if you are watching these videos and you are taking the time to practice, you will realize that you are going to score as many marks as possible. I believe in you. I know you are going to do it. So just keep on practicing because it will be worth it. Let's look at then inflation and exchange rate. Definitely, if questions are coming, they will be asking you to define inflation or define exchange rate. So whenever you find inflation, it is the gradual increase in prices of goods and services. Gradual or general. Sometimes we use general. Gradual increase in prices of goods and services over a period of time. That is what? Inflation. Meaning the prices are going up, they are changing, but it must be over a certain period of time. If you are comparing January last year and January this year, that is your period of time. If you are comparing December to December, that is your period of time. That is what? Inflation. Then the examiner will be asking to show how values have changed or what could be the next values and so on. Okay, now let's go to exchange rate. So we have a question here. It says, Joy needs a laptop which costs 5,999. This is the price. She asked for the money from her sister who lives in the United States of America. The exchange rate for that time was 1 rand will give you 0.05 US dollars. So your first question is exchange rate. What is exchange rate? Exchange rate is how much money for one currency is needed to get an equivalent of another currency. So the value of one currency in relation to another currency is what you call exchange rate. the value of one currency in relation to another currency. This is what we call exchange rate. The value of one currency in relation to another currency. We call it what? Exchange rate. So let's look at the second question. They are now asking us, was the ZAR stronger or weaker? So how do you know a currency is stronger or weaker? If a currency is stronger, it means you need less of that currency, but you are able to get more of the other one. However, if you use more of your currency to get less of the other currency, it means your currency is weak. So let's look here. When we have 1 rand, we get only 0.05. So, is the rand stronger or weaker? It is weaker. How do we know? Because we are using more of our currency, but we are getting only less of the other currency. Are we together? That's how we write. So you will be saying it was what? Weaker. And why? Because we use more of our currency to get less of the other currency. Now let's look at the next one. Joy's sister gave her $300 to buy a new laptop. She stated that the money would be enough to purchase the laptop of $5,099. So verify. And then they're giving us 3 marks. So this is how you do it. You would take that $300, you divide and multiply. You divide by the same currency from the exchange rate. What is the same currency here? US dollar. So what is the value? 0.05. Then you times it by 1 rand. When you do it this way, you are able to cancel out the currency which is dividing itself, so that you can get your answer in rand. So let us press 300 divided by 0.05, and that will give us R6123, 6,000. Remember, the examiner says verify showing all calculations if Joy's statement is correct. The sister, because the sister said the money will be enough. How much is the laptop? 5,099, and we have got 6,000. So the claim is valid. Our claim is what? Valid. Why? Because after we have exchanged, we got more than the price of the laptop. So look at more questions about exchange rate. On this screen, we are seeing currencies and what it means. 1 UK pound, for example, when you bring 1 UK pound, you get 12.74 rand. Are we together? What it means is that you need to come up with 12.74 rand in order to get 1 British pound. So the examiner is saying, convert 50 euros to rand. How do you convert? We know 1 euro is equal to 10 rand 53. So now that we have 50, we are going to say 50 euros divided by 1 euro, then you times it by 10 rand 53. That is how we get 526 rand and 50 cents. I hope that made sense to you. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. Convert 20 euros to US dollars. But there is no direct conversion from euros to US dollars. So what you do in such a case, you first convert it from euros to rand. Then you convert it from rand to dollar. So the first one, 1 euro we know is equal to 10 rand 53. Am I correct? So our 20 euro, we are going to divide the 20 by 1. We times it by 10 rand 53, meaning that if we bring it to rand, it is equal to 210 rand 60 cents. So now that we have the money in rand, then we can be able to convert it to dollar, because every rand we have is equal to 8 rand and 15 cents. So when we change 20 euros to US dollars, we get $25.84. That is how you do the exchange rate questions. Let's talk of inflation then. I've already explained to you. It is the change in price of goods and services over a period of time. So we have been given a graph here, and the question is saying, what happened to the inflation rate and the unemployment rate from point A to B? From point A, we are going to B. They are now asking you to analyze and interpret. So how do you then do it? When the first question asked, it says, what happened to the inflation rate? Did it become more or less? Are we together? So here we realize that this line is for the inflation rate. We are going backwards. Can you see it is becoming bigger? Okay. The inflation rate is becoming bigger as the unemployment rate drops. The inflation rate is becoming bigger as the unemployment rate drops. You see now it was 4, it is now becoming 3. So what basically is happening here is that one value is becoming bigger, the other one is becoming smaller. That's why the examiner is asking you, hence what kind of relationship is depicted? Depicted means is shown here. What kind of relationship is shown? Which relationship allows one to increase, the other increases? We're talking about what? Inverse or indirect relationship. So if it was direct, it would be like a straight line where one quantity increases, the other also increases in the same proportion. But we see that our line is curving. It means that one quantity is reducing, but the other one is increasing. You can see the inflation rate is dropping, but unemployment is becoming higher and higher. So this is what? An inverse or indirect proportion. Now they are asking you, since you said inflation is the change in price of goods and services, meaning maybe bread was 18 Rand last year, now it's 20 Rand. What effect has inflation on the purchasing or buying power of consumers? If you had 20 Rand last year and you were able to buy a bread with a change, and now you are able to still buy the same bread, but when you give the 20 Rand, they don't give you any money back. It means what? Inflation reduces the buying power. Are we together? When there's inflation, your money becomes less worth it. It devalues. It doesn't have much value anymore. Like example that I was given. When you were buying the bread last year, you used to get 2 Rand change because you gave them 20 Rand, the bread is 18 Rand, they give you a change of 2 Rand. Now, the bread is 20 Rand. When you give them the 20 Rand, there's no change. So maybe that change you were using to buy sweets and stuff, now you cannot buy the sweet. You have to go look for another money. So it is now reducing your buying power. That is what inflation does. It reduces the buying power of the consumer. Let us then talk about tariffs. I'm sure you know about water tariffs. You have worked on them many times, but let's go over it one more time. The examiner says tariff is the cost per unit for a service. Remember when we were doing the baseline activity, I gave them to you. So now we are finding out, calculate the amount that will be paid for water consumption if 10 kiloliters is used in municipality B. So here is our municipality B. Then what do? We start with the calculation. Can you see they gave us limits, brackets, or water consumptions per kiloliter? It means the first one, you can use 6 kiloliters there. How many have we used? We have used 10, right? So let's see from 7 to 12. This is how you find how many are there. Instead of saying 12 minus 7, you must say 12 minus 6. Why? Because we are counting like it's on a number line. Can you see this one ended at 6? So if you say 12 minus 7, you will get 5. Meaning that one of the kiloliters, you didn't pay for it. So you always subtract up. You will be saying 12 minus 6. It means that we can use 6 in this block, 6 in that block. But we don't use all. We are only reaching up to 10. So what do? We are going to say 10 minus 6. So we're going to have 4. How do you get 10? If the first block is 6, the next block is 4. So now we have gotten our 10. The next thing you do now, multiply them with the prices. Do you see here? Municipality B is 536. This is in cents. Why? Because it is shown to us here, cents per kiloliters. So we are going to say times 536. This one will be times 599. Then you press your answer. So let us do it together quickly. So we are going to say 6 times 536, and that will give us 3,216. Let's take the next one. 4 times 599, that will give us 2396. Then you plus the 2. So let's plus them. We're going to say plus 3,216. It means we are going to have 5,612. This is in cents. Don't forget, because up here they are saying is what? In cents. How do we convert from cents to rand? You divide by 100. So you must divide this by 100. Let's divide by 100. Divide by 100, and that will give us 56 rand 12 cents. This is how you answer the water tariff. Even if it is also electricity, it goes in the same way, so you are covered. Let's look at transport tariff then. So transport tariff works in a little bit different way. Whenever you have transport tariff, can you see here? This is 1.25 liters. It looks like 1, but it's liters. 1.25 liters to 1.55 liters. So how do we do the calculation then? When you are looking for transport tariff, the kilometers that you have traveled times the tariff for your engine's capacity. So here, can you see? The examiner has given you here claim tariff in cents. So when you see 236.2, that is 236.2 cents, not rand. So let's look at the first question. Write down a formula that can be used to calculate the amount that can be claimed for 2.3 liter vehicle using scheme B. So we must focus here. So what you do, you go and look for where can you find 2.3. 2.3. So it means we are going to find somewhere here, because it's from 2.15 up until 2.5. So along the way you will find 2.3. Then what is our tariff? It's 4.67 cents. So the examiner says write a formula to calculate what? Claim. So you write your claim, then it's going to be the kilometers traveled times your tariff. So here our tariff is what? 467 divided by 100. Why are you dividing by 100? Because your values are in cents. We want the amount in rand. So to find the claim is going to be kilometers that you traveled times the scheme tariff. Let's use that in example then. Somebody called Rodney was using scheme B. He went and claimed 9,430 for driving how long? 1,960 kilometers, and the engine is 2.3. So the examiner wants us to verify if Rodney claimed the correct amount. This is how you do it. Remember your claim. It is what kilometers traveled. What's the kilometers? 1960 times. Then you come to the engine size. Can you see in our case, our example was what? This one. Scheme B. Okay, so we are going under scheme B. So our amount is 467. We're going to divide it by 100 because this was cents. So let's try and find out how much Rodney was supposed to have claimed. So you take your 1960, you multiply it by the amount 467, and you press 100. It means that Rodney was supposed to claim 9,153 rand 20 cents. But how much did he claim? He claimed 9,430. So was Rodney correct? You say claim is invalid. he claimed more than he was supposed to claim. So this is how you work with what? Transport tariff. Let us move on with income tax. So you must know we are going to talk of only taxable income. We are going to be asked questions about tax threshold, rebate, medical credit. So let's look at the first example here. We have Tatu, who is 44 years. She is earning 300,000 per annum, excluding bonus. Meaning the whole year, she gets 300,000 without bonus. Ne? She pays 7.5% to pension fund. Because she's working, she must save money, all right? And then she belongs to medical aid with 2 dependents. So now they are saying we must answer the questions that follow. Show that her annual income, Tatu's annual income is 325,000. How do we do that? Remember, she gets 300,000, so you must divide it by 12 so that you know how much is 1 month salary. Once you know the amount per month, you add, this is the bonus. You add the bonus to how much she was getting the whole year. So that's how you get the 325,000. Let's look at the next question. Calculate her pension fund. So, pension fund, you pay pension fund on your normal salary, but not on your bonus. You pay tax on a bonus, but not on a pension fund. Don't forget. You pay tax on the bonus, but you don't pay pension fund on the bonus. So, we take the 7.5%, we multiply by 300,000, and that gives us 22,500. That is the pension fund, because that's what the examiner wanted. So therefore, let's build and get to the next question. Determine her taxable income. Most of the time in the exam, the examiner will give you this formula. Taxable income is the gross income minus non-taxable. Non-taxable income is the pension fund, like donation, like wear and tear. Those are non-taxable. So remember, Tatu was now getting 325,000. She had to pay tax of pension fund of 22,500. We subtract, meaning the amount which she must pay tax on is only 302,500. So let's look at the next question then. She's complaining that she has been overtaxed, meaning she has paid too much tax. Verify, because she paid 3,400. This is how you do it. Okay, remember, Tatu has to pay tax on the 302,500. Don't forget, she has got dependents. It is her plus first dependent, all right, and the second dependent, herself and the 2 people who are on the medical aid. So let's go. Medical aid credit. The first one for Tatu is 310. First dependent will get 310. An additional will get 209. So you put all of them together and times it by 12. 12 because it is 310 per month, but the tax we calculate per year. A year is made up of 12 months. So don't forget, you need to multiply your value by 12. So it means that we are supposed to get medical credit back of 9,948. So let's go and calculate them. We know that Tatu is 44 years, right? So the rebate Tatu must get is only primary because she is less than 65. Let's do the calculation. The 302,500, you find it in this bracket, bracket 2. Because you see a 302,500 and this bracket 2 ends at 305,850. So when you substitute, this is the taxable income minus the amount above that, you are going to pay 62,982. But now comes in, let's go back. Now comes in the subtractions. So here you must subtract the rebate of 14,067. Then you must also subtract medical aid credit of 9,948. You must subtract all of them so that you know how much tax Tatu has to pay after getting all the refund. Whenever you hear rebate, rebate is a refund given to a taxpayer according to their age. Rebate is a refund given to a taxpayer according to their age. Right, so we've talked a lot about finance. Let's wrap up with data handling. You are going to be asked questions about how to collect data. So collecting data, we use observation, survey, interview. We can collect data on them using those. Then your data must be classified into whether it's categorical or numerical. If your data is categorical, it means you can put them in groups, categories like blue cars, red cars. Those are categorical, or boys and girls. If it is numerical, it means your data deals with numbers, like how many are you who are watching this video now, or how many learners are in your class. Numbers, numerical. But the numbers have got two kinds. We have discrete and continuous. If it is discrete, it means you can count. Okay, so in the exam, how do they ask? The examiner will be asking, determine whether the data is discrete or continuous. Check, can you count? If they are saying number of learners, numbers, there must be whole numbers, isn't it? So it means your data is discrete. But if you can measure, like my height, like the time it is taking, we are talking about continuous. That's how you know whether it's discrete or continuous. And now that you know whether your data is discrete or continuous, then you can represent the information on a frequency table. So in some cases, the examiner can give you a frequency table. They will leave the values there, then you have to fill it. So when you see these sticks, we are talking of the number of people who are part of the rugby team. If it is 5, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, you cross with the 5th one. Like that, and you move on. How about mean, median, mode? I'm refreshing your memory once again. Whenever you see mean, I'm saying add all the numbers, divide by how many numbers are there. So I add all of them is 623, divide by 11 numbers, you write your answer. Median, first arrange the data set. Usually, I would prefer you arrange from small to big, unless the examiner says in descending order, then you must go from big to small. Are we together? So arrange and look for the middle number. If there are 2 numbers in the middle, add those 2 numbers and divide by 2. If there are 2 numbers in the middle, like let's say there are 10 numbers, it's going to be 5 on the left, 5 on the right. So number 5 and number 6 in the middle, add them, divide it by 2. That's how you find median after you have arranged. Mode is the most appearing number. So what you do is go and count, check which number appears more than any other number. Then that is your mode. Can you see here 54, 54, 54? There are 3 of them. Then we have 55, 57, then 58, 58, 60. So which number appears the most? 54, the most appearing number. All right. Range, highest number minus lowest number. So again, if you have already arranged your data set, it makes it a little bit easier. You will realize the bigger number minus the smallest number. You subtract and then you are done. Now I want to give you a difference between bar graph and a histogram. When you have bar graph, there are gaps, there are spaces. This is a bar graph, okay? And then this one is what? A histogram. There is no spaces. Are we together? With all that we are talking about, then we are talking about what? Box and whisker plot. What do we get, or what do we use to plot the box and whisker plot? We use the 5-point summary or the 5-number summary. We use the 5-number summary. What are they? Minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, maximum. So for instance, when you see this line, that is the minimum. Here is Q1, this is Q2, Q3, and maximum. If we are talking of percentages, this is 25%, 25%, 25%. So basically here is 25, 25, which is what? 50. Then this becomes 75. So it's 25. The median is 50%. The Q3 is 75%. And the maximum value is there. Then what do we do? The examiner will be saying, find the IQR, interquartile range. You will say, the value here on this line, which is Q3, minus the value on the minimum Q1 line, which is to subtract them, and you get your answer. So let's put into practice then. Now they have given us 3 box and whisker plots, and they're saying which car dealer had the lowest sales at the beginning of the year. This is the beginning of the year. So they're asking for which number is the smallest or the lowest. you go through it, you will see that this is the smallest number, but it says which car dealer, so it is car dealer number 2. Do you see how you find the answers? Okay. How many cars did car dealer 2 sell during first 3 months? First 3 months are these ones, ne? But they're saying car dealer number 2, which, how many cars did they sell? So you come here, first 3 months is this one, 25%. So what is the value? 25,366. Trust me, it's going to be easy for you. Just watch and practice. You will see, you will be very fine. Let's look at number 3. After how many months were car dealer number 3's new car sales? 24,293. Where is 24,239? There it is. So 24,239 is on this number, which is Q3. But they're saying how many months? Can you see the year has been divided into 4 parts? Okay, so we have the first 3 months, another 3 months, another 3 months, another 3 months. So it's going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So it means after 9 months. Because if you reach here, that will be 12 months. So it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Thank you. All right. Let's go to growth chart, the ones with the BMI. The examiner definitely will give you the formula. The mistake that you learners make in the exam is that you are given the BMI. Let's go back. I want to show you something. Let's say my height is 1.7 meters. My BMI is maybe 80. And then my mass is 80 kilograms. And then they're saying find BMI. You find that most of you in the exam, you will write BMI is equal to 80 over 1.7 meters, then you put squared here. But when you are pressing, you forgot about the squared. So what I'm suggesting to you during the exam, write it this way: 80 divided by 1.7 times 1.7. When you do it this way, you are never going to forget. Don't try to outsmart yourself, because you are fighting for marks here. So you need to work for it. Try to work smart, but don't outsmart yourself, because once you forget pressing the squared, your answer is going to change. Then once you get your answers, this is the BMI for age chart. So we have status of underweight, healthy, at risk of overweight and overweight. Some books will be saying at risk of obesity, and here is obese. So let's see. They can give you the chart like this, but usually this one will be the one to come in the exam, not something with more color. But this is what we mean. Anything here is overweight. If you are within this line, you are at risk. When you are around this space, you are healthy. Anything below that space, you are underweight. So you need to get your fact straight. Let's look at example. When they say the value of the 5th percentile implies that this is the 5th percentile, this line. What does it mean? It means that if we were to put 100 people there, 5% are below your weight and 95% are above your weight. It means you have very, very less weight. You are underweight, because only 5 people are below you, 95 are above you. So when they say your weight is on the 40th percentile, how do you interpret it? It means that 40% of the weight is below and 40% of the weight is above. You have to write this sentence. So you must always add up. It must get to 100. So if they say 40, it means it must be 40 and 60. If they say 30, it must be 30 and 70. If they say 20, it must be 20 and 80. So it means 40 are below, 60 are above. If their weight is on 90, it means what? If you put 100 people there, your weight has passed 90 learners already. Only 10 people have more weight than you. So it means that you are probably at risk of overweight. That is how you do the interpretation. So we've spoken a lot. Let's summarize. For paper 1, you are going to be fine. But just remember, you're going to answer questions on data handling, finance, and probability. No measurement, no maps and plans. So put your full attention there and go through this paper that we have been discussing now, because I think you are going to do it. For you to go ahead, I have given you a bit of homeworks and I'm expecting you to be going to answer them so that you get yourself ready. The next lesson will be on preparation for paper 2. So there's already a slot for your revision program. I hope to see you there, learners. Keep practicing, and thank you so much for staying with me up to this point. We will meet when we are discussing for paper 2. Bye-bye.